5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Jeff Colson with Junior Hockey Advisor. Sunday night, 9 o'clock. As usual, we've been getting together for quite a while. Hey, since this pandemic has started with our Sunday nights. And we're ready to rock and roll. Sorry about some glitches for those of you who are waiting around. I actually hit the wrong button and sent an old copy of the show, I think from a week or two ago, on one of the pre-broadcasts. Sorry about that. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to keep the show fairly simple. We're going to keep things moving along pretty quickly. It's going to take interaction from you as usual. The more questions I get, the more comments I get, the more I can interact. So let me start off by telling you who I am. Once again, I'm Jeff Colson. This is Junior Hockey Advisor. We are not an advisory firm. We do not represent players. We do not represent any kind of transactions with players at all. We're an educational source. Most of the materials I do on Facebook, on our Facebook page, on Twitter, and on YouTube are free content. They're educational content about how things work and how the game evolves behind the scenes, and transactional paths, and real information you can use on how to ascend up in the game of hockey, how to advance, how to move up. And this is not talking about your skill set. This is not talking about skills and drills. We're talking about how to advance. I've been doing this for 35 years. I've been an owner. I've been a coach. I've coached a lot. I'm a master certified coach with level 5 with USA Hockey. I have an MBA, and I've kind of fused these together. I've got a background in broadcasting too, along with business. And so as a former junior owner and as a broadcaster, I kind of fused these two together. Some of you were around back in the day when we used to do the Maximum Hockey Radio Show. We did that for years. That was also something that USA Hockey picked up on and ran with. This is a little bit different. A lot less comedy, a lot less lightheartedness, although you can laugh at me anytime you want. There's a lot to laugh at. This is all about trying to get good content to you so you can make great decisions and help you with the decisions. So tonight we've got a couple things to talk about first, but our big topic is going to be academies. What are academies? How do academies work? The who, what, when, and where, and why of academies, and try to walk through the process so everybody can understand. So if you've got somebody that's a younger player that's interested in academies, or you're interested, or you have friends, this is a great time to invite other people too. We got plenty of time. Add somebody else to the group. Hook them up through your comments by throwing their name on there. Get them on. See if they enjoy this too. So I see a lot of people on real quick. I see we've got Chicago on. We've got Newmarket, Maryland on. Philly on. Pittsburgh on, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Scott, how you doing? We've got Orange County, California. We've got right across the border. We've got Greg in Amherstburg, Ontario. We've got Milwaukee. We've got Parker, Colorado. We've got Riverside, who's here every single week. And, of course, my cousin Jeannie from Flint, who's an OHL fan. We won't talk about the fact that she's an OHL fan. We'll try to get her converted over to everybody else. It may not happen, or it may. A couple of things real quick. A couple of weeks ago, we had a contest, and the contest was won by Jacob Dolan. And Jacob Dolan won our bag. So I just wanted to give you an update and show you what Jacob won. He sent a picture in. It was really nice of him. And this is his package from Howie's Hockey Tape for I believe we had 3 different parts of this, and he won the prize for getting the most people invited to the group. So although we don't have a prize package right now and we don't have a contest going on, I encourage you to help us keep growing this group. Remember, when this pandemic started, we had one person in the group besides myself. And now we're well over 2,000. We will probably break 2,100 by tomorrow. That does not include our Facebook page, which is pushing 4,000, or the people that friend and follow me that I think is at about 5,000. So we've grown this group to literally 10,000 people. And when these videos go out and when we do these educational videos, we're getting just about that same amount. Now, that's because it gets spread into other areas too. It's shared with many, many different styles of hockey groups and Facebook pages out there. But overall, we're getting anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 people that watch the replays right now. So I want to grow that number. I want to keep trying to help people. So whatever you can do to help, I sure would appreciate. Also want to give one more shout out before we get started with our main topic of the night, and that's to say congratulations to Chuck Proctor. Charles Proctor was a student in our industrial professional course. That's the soup to nut course for anybody that's working in the industry. I believe he was in the program for about 4 months and worked through all the different levels of the courses and just graduated. So congratulations, Chuck. I know that if you ever want to reach out to him on our Facebook page or the discussion group, he can fill you in on everything he went through, and that it's a pretty extensive process. But if you do want to jump in, Chuck, DM me or Chuck, and you can always go to our Facebook page on that. But that's not why we're here tonight. Tonight we're here to discuss academies and walk through what academies are, and it's there's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about because it immediately brings a polarization, like so many things in hockey. You say the word AAA, and you get a knee-jerk reaction from this side of the room, and you get a calm understanding from that side of the room. You say elite, and you get a wince over here, and you get a nod over there. Okay, this academy shouldn't be polarizing. Let's get the negatives out of the way first, because there are negatives out there at time. And what I mean by that is, yes, in the past there have been some academies that have not been so upfront and positive for players, for parents, and for what they said they were going to do. But over the years, that's evolved and that's changed quite a bit. They used to be known as a vanity thing. If your kid couldn't make a team anywhere, you send them to an academy. So first, I want to make sure you understand that there's so many good things about academies now. Yes, we'll talk about some of the downside that comes along with any business decision you make or any education decision or hockey decision you make. We're going to talk about that. But I want to get that off the table first and to say, you know what? We're not talking about 10, 15 years ago at the cusp of this. When I was involved in and owned an actual academy myself, my partners and I, this is 6, 7 years ago, it was a good addition to what we were doing. And I'll gladly explain that in a little bit. But it wasn't our end all. It wasn't our business practice. It wasn't our model that everything was centered on. It was an adjunct. It was an add-on to what we were trying to do. So once again, a lot to talk about. But so let's just jump in and kind of explain what academies are. Now, academies come in different forms and fashion. I would tell you right now that I'm trying to keep up with comments that are coming in to make sure that I don't have questions that I want to highlight as we go along, so apologize for that. I do get distracted from time to time. But what academies do and what they are is the ability to fuse a hybrid product together. And usually it's your education, your off-ice training, your on-ice training, and potentially even your hockey team are all involved. Now, academies can be small, and what I mean by that is it could be for example, the academy we had in Rochester, New York, one year I think we had 7 students, another year we had 11 students. We never were intending to be a large academy. What it was an additional help for any of the players that were out of town. So any of our players that were from age 14 to 18, 14 to 19, because we had a European student that was a little bit older, they were trying to finish their education. We had a certified teacher in the classroom, and we had an outside source that we actually use for our online education, which is the case in most academies. They use an outside source to do online education. So, and these are accredited schools. You get choices, and in our situation, it was great. We had a certified teacher in the classroom. His job, even though we had students from 6th to 12th grade in there, was to work with each individual to make sure they had goals set for the day, goals set for the week, goals set for the month, that they stayed on task, and that if they had any problems, he would help them through. Even though it was an online program, some questions he could answer himself, but a lot of times what he did was just help them work through to get the person online. Now, that's the first thing that you should know about the academies that use online. Online comes in many, many forms and fashions. You can have an accredited online program that only gives you canned, no interactive live body. So you're just taking tests and you're just reading things and clicking yes or no to the answers, but you never interact with a live body. The actual amount you pay for the service, so my academy, we paid the for all the bells and whistles. So we had a live teacher that worked with each one of those students, which made a big difference because the student in English that was working on 12th grade English, whatever it was, literature or whatever the case is, they actually had a professor assigned to them that they interacted with. Now, not every one of these academies do that. So if you're shopping for academies, one of the things you want to do is to make sure there's live interaction and it's designed to help one-on-one. Because if you don't have that, it becomes a very, very long school year for a lot of kids. So getting back to what academies are in general, like I said, they come in different forms. Ours was small, one teacher, but we had our own performance center in the building with a skating treadmill, with rapid shots, with shooting rooms. So we're able to do a lot of different events and things on ice and off with our regular staff that was already teaching on ice and teaching in the performance center. So our teachers were able to develop the day so that they had time in the performance center, they had time in the shooting room, and they could optionally go on the ice. Because the biggest thing about a lot of these academies is they sell you on, you get 10,000 hours of ice a year. Okay, you don't need 10,000 hours of ice a year, and that number is made up, it's inflated. But even saying you go on the ice daily, if you still have a team practice to go to at night, or you still have a game that weekend, you're never going to take advantage of Monday through Friday ice and still have team practice and your team workouts and your team games that go along with it. So, making sure that there's a tempered process to, pulling back a little bit when it's time. The academy can't be the end all saying and hammering you saying you've got to be on the ice. It's got to be more of a situation where it's worked out with the students on when and when they're not going to be on the ice. So a small academy works like that. Now, academies also have different things they can do besides online teaching. The North American Hockey Academy for girls. Now, I'm not going to mention many academies, but this has been around a long time. It's in Vermont, and they produce an incredibly high level of girl hockey player, young women hockey players, and but what they do, at least up until, and I looked at their website yesterday, up until the last few years, it could have changed, but I don't think so. What they do is you actually bring your work with you. So basically, you're doing home study at North American Hockey Academy. You bring all of your textbooks from your school. You work on all of your assignments with the school and with your school. And then when you're done with the season, you go back and you re-enroll back in your school. Now, there are a few schools that don't allow that, so they do have online to back that up when that doesn't work. Most academies only have a few people on the educational side, a lot of people on the hockey side, but those hockey people are usually doing multi-purpose things. They're still doing camps, they're doing clinics, they're doing private lessons, they're coaching teams. And so you have different kind of hybrids. Another hybrid that's new to the academy market is in the last few years, you start seeing these pseudo prep schools. And when I say pseudo, it's because it's really hard to call the new program in Rochester, which is an East Coast Selects program, a true prep school, because they have the hockey component that leases space from a private school to have their dorms, and they go to the private school, but they're autonomous with their sports. Their sports are not connected to the school. In other words, they don't play a high school season. They just play their U16, U18 season. So you have that style that's just grown and become its own thing. Now, we're not talking about regular prep schools here. We're talking about academies across the board. Academies, there's companies now that have academies in 4 or 5, 10, 15 cities under one umbrella. A name that comes to mind is TPH. Now, not endorsing any of these, I'm just giving an idea of how these work. You can Google all of these companies and see what they do. The more structure, the more cost. Some of the ones that are a little bit more flexible, you'll see some of the academies aren't advertised. You'll have some in the USPHL that aren't advertised. You might have some in the NAL too, because there's a 16 team, an 18 team, and a USPHL Premier and a USPHL NCDC team. So you got 4 teams playing out of one area. And so they're players that come from Europe, and the players that moved in to play on the 16 or 18 team, or a young junior player can continue to go to school and have the flexibility. Now, I know when I was a parent and I had my kids in the local school system, I was getting letters every year justifying their absences. And, I'd get a threatening letter from the state, not just from the school, but from the state about days missed. And I don't know if it triggered at 10 days or 15 days, but if you're a youth travel player and you're doing college visits on top of your travel schedule, they'll let you do a couple college visits, but they're not going to let you do as many as you want to do. And when I say you want to do, it's because a lot of times a team would go play at a college for a showcase and they would call it a college visit. Well, we'd try to tell the school it was a college visit too, and then my son or daughter would make a comment, oh, I was playing hockey, and then they would mark it off differently on the attendance. So one way to get around the attendance and one way people use is they use the academy approach. They say, look, we're not going to deal with the local school systems. We're going to actually use the academy. So at the beginning of the day, the kid gets dropped off at the hockey rink. He goes into his classroom, does all of his classwork, gets a break, maybe goes to the shooting room, maybe goes and stretches, does yoga, whatever the different programs they have, because a good academy has a varied amount of different activities for the kids during the day. Then there might be ice time, lunch, more class time, and they stay usually until their team starts practicing. Now, some academies are attached directly to the teams. Like I said, in the USPHL, when we had our program, the majority of the students in the classroom were tied right to our teams, our 16 team, our 18 team, and our junior teams. We had a couple kids at the 16 level that moved in from out of town that wanted to play. They billeted and went to the academy. 18s, we had a few more. Juniors, we had a few more. But what was interesting is, although we didn't service with hockey teams, girls hockey, we had a few girl students in the school because they wanted to focus on hockey and get better and use the skill development side of the company and just go to school there. We actually had a figure skater that joined too. So a lot of the different academies will allow other than just teams. Now, some academies will actually run their own teams. And you'll see this in different areas. You see it in Detroit, you see it in Minnesota, where all the kids that attend are strictly attending to play for that academy team. So they play U16 for that academy team. And now, once again, not saying right or wrong to the whole process. I'm just letting you know that that's part of what's going on. So some of the pros is you get a flexible, very, very flexible schedule. Usually most of these are very accommodating. They understand when you have games, weeknight games. They understand when you have long weekends. So they're usually fairly accommodating to you for your rest and your recuperation and your nutrition. You don't miss school. That's a nice thing about the academy process is you just don't miss school at all. The other thing too is that you do get extra ice for skills. Now, once again, this can be abused and this can be oversold. I can tell you we booked 1.5 or 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, for our students. And to be honest with you, they just never used that much ice because they had practice at night. They had team workouts at night, and they had, sometimes games where they left Friday and don't get back till Sunday night late. So the skills ice, I would say, to be honest with you, is overrated in the process compared to everything else you're getting in the whole process. These schools are accredited. They're usually accredited through their online institution. Now, there are a couple of academies that use public schools. In other words, they have an agreement with a public school that if a kid comes in to go and play for their team, they spend 6 hours a day at the school and they take a core group of classes at the high school. Then they come back over to the rink and do off ice conditioning, and they do some other stuff too. That's only a couple of programs out there, but that does exist because I did see a comment come earlier today to me on that. And the efficiency, and what I mean by efficiency is it's easy for parents, it's easy for billet parents, it's easy for transportation. You drop off at the rink, you pick up at the rink. Everything is done at the rink, so you are very focused. So a couple of the cons on this, we're going to talk about some of the things that, look, this can be very expensive. This can be very expensive. Going to an academy can be, on the low end, you could end up paying for, the inclusive package of your hockey and the academy itself, $20, $30, $40,000 depending on your area and depending on what the bells and whistles are that you get along with the program. You don't get a high school experience. You're not going to go to prom unless you go back and you're invited by one of your friends to go to your prom. Yeah, you're not going to go to the homecoming game. You're not going to be homecoming king. We did not, vote for a homecoming king or a valedictorian in our program. You just went to school. That's basically it. And one of the things that's very, very interesting, or I should say concerning to me, is if you don't have the right people running the program, if you don't have the right connection with the students at the school where there's actual a process to care for the kids, a process to really be involved with the kids, you can get a lot of kids that go through with no direction. And if they're not really processed properly through the program, you can get lazy. It's very easy for academics to become secondary if they're not watched. So in other words, if every kid in the classroom is online and there's not a proper, administrative process involved, it's very easy for the kids to get involved with other things. They can get involved on things on their computer, their phone, and interact. And it is a battle to make sure that kids stay focused on this. So, there's some. I want to talk about a few other things on this too, but I'm just going to check the notes to make sure. Okay, so some of the questions that came in is, okay, first of all, hi, Jeff. Is the discussion on elite prospects posted somewhere? I missed it. Hey, don't worry, it is. If you go to our junior hockey Facebook discussion page, Junior Hockey Advisor discussion group, the group, not the page, it's listed on there. I think it might even be on the page too. So just go to Junior Hockey Advisor. You can pull up the EP discussion. Sorry we're boring you on this one tonight, but enjoy that conversation with the EP too. That'll be good. What makes an academy a good program versus one to avoid? Okay, I think a lot of things I just talked about were there. First of all, price. I would say management style of the program. Is there an accredited student faculty person that's actually going to be in the classroom that is a certified teacher? So it doesn't have to be a certified teacher at every level, but understands the process of academics, understands how the program works, and knows enough to work with building and developing goals and making sure that the players and the students stay on track. If there's no accountability in the room, if you walk in and visit an academy and you just see that the kids are all sitting around in the cafeteria area of the rink or the snack bar area of the rink, and they all have their phones out and their laptops out, and somebody goes, yeah, they're all studying on their own right now. That's independent study time. I'd be very concerned about that. I would at least at a minimum say that there has to be an actual classroom atmosphere. Even if kids work better on their own and they find a little cubby somewhere in the rink, at least have that established classroom atmosphere to start with as a ground, as a base and a home, so that you can gather everybody in there. So one of the things I would say right away is look for accountability and make sure it's there. Also, look at what style of online education they're using. Because one of the things with online education, like I said, there's different tiers. When I went to enroll our program into our online academy, it was like buying a car. Do you want the white walls? Do you want the air conditioning? Do you want the stereo? Do you want this? So me setting up my academy, I had to actually go through and say, yes, we want that additional thing. And most of it had to do with how much interactive time they gave the students. Part of it was how many classes they offered, through our school. So how many electives, how many bells and whistles on the classes? Did you get a plain history class, or were you getting Mediterranean history? Were you getting history of the United States? Were you getting history of Alaska? I'm making things up right now, but did you have some varied choices? So part of it is, the more that the academy spends, which lowers their margin, is the better choices you get and the better choices you get on your online. But the biggest thing you have to look at is most are going to be accredited now, so you don't have to worry about the accreditation thing. You still have to ask to make sure it's there, but make sure you're looking at the actual class curriculum and what's offered to the students. The second part of that is to make sure there's a live accountable person on the other end of that interactive class. In other words, there should be actually a professor or a teacher that works with your student one-on-one with emails and texts and direct messages that says, hey, I got your assignment. It looks good today. Move on to the next assignment. Okay, at least there's an interactive and there's more accountability there. That's incredibly important, and it costs us a lot of money to have that extra feature added, and it really does take into your margins when you do this. It's not a very big moneymaker as a business person. However, it was worth it for our students because they actually had somebody that was working with them that was a live body. Like I said, if you get a school that just gets the nuts and bolts and the very basic bargain basement, they're watching a video of a lecture, they're answering canned questions, and there's no interactive side to it, and that really makes a boring school year. So that'd be the first one I'd say on that one. The next question I see is, are there Academy college placement numbers published anywhere? Victor, yes, there are. There are numbers out there. I did not pull numbers on this, but remember, these academies now, they started mostly after in Orlando, you started seeing tennis and basketball and football through Nike and through the sports complex that was built at Disney, starting to take, I think it's called IMG. They started doing these programs, and with accredited students, they were able to do some really fantastic things with athletes. So you started seeing hockey do this in different little pockets. And so, yes, you can see them. A lot of the schools will actually give you numbers online. But really the best way to do this is to pull up some of the academies you're interested in and talk directly with the manager of the program or the owner of the program. It makes a big, big difference when you get the hands-on real answers from them. And most of the people are respectable in the business right now. Like I said, I don't really see as much of the vanity side of it as I used to. In other words, and believe me, you still can. You can take a house player, you can put him in an academy somewhere where he's training all day long, and he's put on a team with some low-level travel players that play in a low-level travel league, and he considers himself part of an academy, and things are all good with the family. It still happens. That's still there, but that still happens at every part of hockey. You can't, say that that's unique to this academy model. Most academies are very respected and do a good job with what they do right now. So that's the way I would go about it. What I see wrong with the academy program is there is too much training. When I was tied to a AAA program, players are overtraining. It leads to injuries, burnout. What's the best way? So I just mentioned this a second ago. You're absolutely right. One of the things that can happen is you can overtrain. Because these students have access to the gym, to yoga, to ice, to power skating. Maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday they bring in a power skating instructor, or they have one on staff. Then the other days are skills days. Some days they scrimmage and they play. Now, we had a small academy, and we eventually broke it down so they could only be in the gym on days their teams were not going to train in the gym. And we also looked at their game schedule. We ended up scaling down, and sometimes they completely stayed off the ice for the whole week inside the academy because it was becoming too much. Absolutely a major problem, and I mentioned this before, is overtraining in these academies. And not only overtraining where you could damage yourself and hurt yourself, but overtraining where you just mentally and physically check out. You don't want an athlete checking out in November because he's on the ice with his team 3 or 4 nights a week. He's on the ice with his academy 5 days a week. Now, there are times where we found it best where the kids would get on the ice for 15 or 20 minutes, go out, stretch, shoot a few pucks, maybe do one very simple drill or maybe one thing that they were trying to work on to improve in their game, and they get off the ice. They'd be done for the day on the ice. We found much more productivity out of really short, directed scheduling of their ice times and what they were trying to do and accomplish. So you're absolutely right on that you can overtrain. I think that's a very good comment on that. What is the best amount of ice and off-ice training? Listen, that's a tough question to answer because, you've got 16 and 17 and 18-year-olds that are in the National Development Program that are training almost every day. They're on the ice almost every day, and they're set up like an academy. I mean, they all go to the same school together. They all go straight to the rink, and they stay the rest of the day at the rink. So age has a lot to do with it, and skill level has to do with it, and the individual has a lot to do with it. I think that's why, I was very fortunate. When I did this, my business partner was a medical doctor that was on staff. He was there all the time. So he was able to, pull kids back out, keep them motivated, work with them both mentally and physically to make sure that they stayed engaged and they were having fun and it wasn't becoming burnout. But I can't really answer the question of how much is appropriate. Personally, I think less is more in an academy situation. Having access to it is great. I just don't think you need to be on the ice 5 days a week with an academy and still have to perform with your team. I just don't think it's wise, and I don't think it's productive. But I'm sure there's somebody out there that might have a different voice on that or a different opinion on that. Talking about a specific on the ice, on and off the ice 2 times a week. I think 2 times a week could probably be fine as far as getting on and off the ice. Trying to go back up and see if I missed any questions here real quick, and then I'll cover a couple more things. So, yeah, Victor, the academies that are partnering with prep schools, it's still a work in process because you saw this first with the East Coast Selects doing this, and they did this a few years ago, and the model worked pretty good. They were able to take players that they've actually been recruiting and building relationships with from the age of 6, 7 years old, and by the time these kids were getting up to 14 and 15, they modeled a process that pushed right into the academy, into their academy. Now they've actually started a second one in Rochester, New York, and it seems like it's going to work out well there too. They've brought in some big names. They've got Ryan Callahan that used to be with Tampa Bay and before that with New York as one of their people, and they've got a really good local skills development company that's doing their on-ice portion of it and are coaching the teams now. So I don't know what to say on this partnering. It seems to be a new model where you use the prep schools for the academic side, and especially prep schools that don't have hockey, and then you add hockey in. And a lot of times, like with the East Coast Selects and with the new program here in Rochester, that's theirs too, they're going to play U18, they're going to play U16. They're not playing in any high school league. They're not playing in any prep league. So I'll see where it goes, but I really don't have a good answer to how that's going to work. I can tell you I'm very intrigued by it. But I've got mixed emotions with prep schools and academies in general, that they're inside of USA Hockey, there really almost needs to be a second category. I still don't understand how Shattuck, I can't understand how Culver, Northwood, these programs that are prep schools that can recruit 24/7 academically, and by the way, oh yeah, you're a hockey player, that's great. You can recruit the likes of Sidney Crosby to come play for you in Minnesota, and you still get to play U16 and U18 hockey and do your thing inside of the U18 model, when all the guys that are playing by the rules, the U18 playing by the rules, can't start recruiting until the season's over. They have a very short window to recruit, and they have a very strict adherence of rules. Now, you can say, but they don't play by the rules. No, they do. They do. The vast majority, almost everybody plays by the rules. They might push the envelope, but they play by the rules. But God bless Shattuck and Culver and Northwood and the other ones that are in that same category. They're great institutions. There's nothing wrong with them. And their hockey's incredible. But is it really fair to put Shattuck in a U18 tournament? Look and see who's won the most U18s and U16 tournaments over the years. And it's these prep schools that are allowed to play U18, which to me it just doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. I've brought it up numerous times at USA Hockey meetings. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to make a change on it. So I don't think we'll ever see a change on that. But if anybody out there has any comment on that or why it goes on the way it does, I'd love to hear it. Because for 25 years I've been scratching my head going, why are we? Never mind. That could be a long discussion in a different direction. So let's see who's else checked in while we're talking here. Peter, thanks for checking in. Have I heard of an academy? I've heard of almost every academy. I don't want to try to critique individual academies tonight. What do you think Bantam WHL draft will do this year? Let's save that one to the end. I'll try to answer the WHL Bantam question. Wasn't expecting that one. Kind of caught me off guard. Morstan question, Dallas or Tampa Bay? I think the question is anybody not having fun with this? Hasn't this just been great, the playoffs in general? I really don't have a favorite between the two, but I'm really falling in love with some players on both teams. Just getting to know some teams that I haven't really watched in over the years. Never really followed Tampa Bay much except for their general manager, Steven Yzerman, who happens to be the greatest person that ever played hockey. Besides that, I don't know much about Tampa Bay and Dallas. I really didn't know either. But boy, I really love these teams. I love their defense on both sides. I think that the 5-man hockey is so much more entertaining when the puck's moving to all 5 players. When all 5 players are jumping in, it's just, in my opinion, who am I? I don't know much about the NHL. It's not my area. I'm just a fan of the NHL. But I can tell you, I'm really enjoying it. And I can't see how anybody is actually watching this without enjoying it. Yeah, it's without fans. I get it. But they've done everything to make this a good experience for the fan, even without the fans. So, okay, I think I got most of the questions caught up with here. Why are you avoiding criticism or going down a comprehensive path? Well, I'd be interested in knowing what you mean about criticism. I did point out a lot of negatives with these, but with individual academies, I don't want to go out there and destroy anybody's academy or what they're doing or some people that are doing things wrong. That's not why I do this. I want to make sure that people understand that there are things you need to look out for. You do need to make sure it's accredited. You do need to check into the ice time. You do need to look into the supervision. You do need to look into the price. But I'm not trying to avoid anything on that. It's a good question, but I'm not really trying to avoid the question about going into details. If you got a specific question, I'll try to answer it. But I didn't come on tonight to say, here's your top 5 academies and here's the 5 academies that suck. First of all, every time I say something sucks in my life and I learn more about it, I find out that I didn't know enough in the first place to make an educated guess on why they sucked. In other words, if there's 5 academies that don't meet my criticism or meet my level of standards, it doesn't mean that they're not great. It's like hockey in general. Just because I really like this style of hockey over here or this program or this coach, it doesn't mean the coach across the street isn't doing a good job. Now, we tend in the hockey world more than any other sport to polarize people, to actually say, oh, that guy sucks and that guy's great. In reality, if you've been doing this a long time, there's usually good to find in everybody, and there's good things to find in. So it's just my style. I can't tell you that what I'm doing tonight is going to help anybody. I hope it does, but I'm not going to jump in and rip anybody apart on this. It's just not the way I do things. You honestly think that we are watching for how's the weather? I really don't know. I mean, Jason, if you don't like what I'm doing, I don't know what to say. I mean, I see your comments. I get it. But it's just not what I'm here for. I'm here to try to give people a balanced approach to look at the positives and the negatives and to see what can potentially be the things that they're looking for. If you're looking for actual critiques of individual places, it's not the venue or the forum. I don't do that in general. I try to give everybody a balanced look at things. No nonsense. I don't want to try to hide anything, but I'm not. There's nothing for me to hide. I don't have I don't have anything in this game. There's no skin in the game for me on this to try to hide an agenda from you. If there's something very specific you want an answer to, throw a question up. I'll be glad to try to answer it and see where you go. However, I'm saying it wrong. Hey, Jason, take a second. I'm going to be here. If you can figure out a different way to say it, I'll answer your question and see what I can do. The question, a couple of things I wanted to discuss about this was, people were online really jumping in on this discussion before we did the show tonight, and one of the things is people were relating this to the elite status and the vanity status. And I want to really make sure that we establish what I was saying about this earlier, because some people jumped on later. You can look at this and say only people that are vain or players that really don't need to be in an academy, go to an academy. And that's absolutely true. There are players that shouldn't go to an academy that are going to an academy. There's kids that are figure skating that will never make the national level of figure skating that figure skate. There's kids on the chess team that are never going to be chess masters that are playing chess. I'm not really too concerned about that. I think it's a free market, and if a family wants to send their kid to an academy and the kid's happy with the academy, that's fine. If you go to an academy, though, let's just make sure you understand what's going on. This really isn't about elite, and this really isn't about AAA, AA. There are AA kids that are attending academies. But used properly, it gives you an opportunity to catch up on skill development that you may not have been able to do before. So if you've got a 13 or 14-year-old and he lacks some things or she lacks some things that, your local organization didn't, have the ability to get you to the next level, this could be the way to shorten the period of time and to work on things. And really, I think a lot of these situations it comes down to, if you look in the Detroit market and the academies in the Detroit market, all you have to do is pull up those Tier 1 Elite and HPHL teams. Pull up the rosters. You'll see the third of the players on those rosters are from out of town. 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds. Even on the U14 and 15 teams, there's a lot of players that don't come from Detroit metro area. Okay, some of them are up, they grew up in the Upper Peninsula. They grew up in Traverse City. They grew up in Illinois, Florida, Texas. They're from all over the place. Some of the better players that have graduated out of the Little Caesars program, the Honey Bake program, were not kids from Michigan, okay? And that includes some of the great names that are there right now. The Hughes family was from Florida before they went up and became part of the Detroit model. So part of what happens is when these kids come in from out of town, if the parents aren't coming with them, they can't enroll in the local schools. A lot of the school districts won't let you enroll unless you give up your status as a parent. Basically, what you have to do is you have to sign over the legal rights to the billet family or to the person that's going to be responsible for your child. Now, that used to be the norm. When I was growing up, it happened all the time. Early 16, 17, 18 years old, people did this all the time to get into school districts so their kids could move to a different area. There's not as much comfort level with that these days as there used to be with signing off on the rights as a parent. Basically, it's like giving your kid up for adoption on paper. Now, it really isn't that drastic or extreme, but that's what happened. It still does happen. There are people that use that style anyway. But if I can't get into the Detroit school system, I have to go to a private school. If I don't want to go to a private school because it's going to be very, time intensive and strict and, cumbersome to what I'm there for, if I'm there for hockey and to try to get to another level in hockey, then these academies come in to be very, very useful. And you'll see a lot of the kids using these academies in the Detroit area because they're practical. They fit for what they're trying to do. They moved from California to play hockey. They can't afford to go to Brother Rice. They can't afford to go to one of the private schools. So what they do is they use the academies as the interim. Now some of them will go back at the end of the school year and re-enroll in their home school back in California or Florida, wherever the case may be, and that's fine. That's great. But they'll still have the accredited school that they got accomplished while they were there, and they finished, and then they can go back and re-enroll in their school if they want to. So let's see if anything else came on while we're here. Are there any lists published of vetted academies? What's the best way to learn? Hey, probably right now, one of your best ways of learning is the videos like this. You can Google. You can put Hockey Academies, U.S. Hockey Academies, Canada, and you'll pull up some. You can look at different areas. Now, look, the biggest name out there, and once again, I'm not affiliated with these, but your biggest academy out there right now is Total Package Hockey. They're in 7 markets that are hockey markets, 7 markets that are non-hockey markets. If you're not interested in them or they're not in the market you want, use them as the litmus test of what's going on out there. Do they do everything right? No, they don't. I'm not here to endorse them or say they're the greatest, and I didn't do any vetting on them. But I do know the people involved. They're well respected in the hockey world. The people that work for them are well respected in the hockey world. And I've never had anybody that's attended there and not have good things to say about them. So use that as a litmus test and see where you go from there as you look at different areas for academies. But there's academies right now in Minnesota, Michigan, New York, the Boston area, Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont. They're all over the place. There is no one list, though. And that's a good idea. I don't know if I really could tackle that project, but having one vetted list of, here's the academies, here's who's playing USA Hockey, here's who's playing USPHL, that'd be a good idea, but I don't know if I can really tackle that one. So let's see, are there any lists of vetted? Okay, we got that one. Is there any specific track that 2008s or 2009s should be on to attract hockey academies? So that's a great question because, there's a two-way street on academies. There are academies that recruit you, and there's academies that you go to and you get in because you got a paycheck or you got a checkbook. Yes, if you're interested in going to some of the academies, you're going to want to get involved with their spring and summer programs for that academy. That's the way they pull in. If you want to go to some other academies, get involved with their events. The only way to be seen by them is to let them know that you're involved and you want to be. Most of these academies on their website, you go to their website, they'll actually have a section where you can sign up and say, I'm interested in being a prospect for you. Not any different than a junior team, not any different than a college as far as listing that, or a prep school where you list that you're interested in the school. But most of them have spring programs. They have spring leagues, spring tournaments. They have camps, clinics, all kinds of things to get involved in. Once again, I'm not endorsing that, but if you really want to be involved with them, hey, look, if you want to be involved with East Coast Selects, you got to be doing East Coast Select events. Yeah, it's this the way it is. And they do recruit heavily, but that's the way they work. So if you had an 8th grader, 07, which way would you lean towards? Prep school, academy, or regular high school, experienced, or just play regular hockey or club hockey? Peter, that's the $1 million question. And pretty much everything, if you go back through all the videos and everything that we talk about, is lining up for those decision processes. You're right now at that 8th grade mark. You're getting into that age for prep. So depending on what state you're in, and I'm assuming by that question you're probably not in Minnesota, but if you're looking at the situation, you've got a choice between prep school, academies, or youth hockey. It really depends on where you're going to get the strongest level of hockey and academics combined that fit your needs. So if you've got the ability to go to a great high school and you have the ability to play on a very solid program and it's in your backyard, you really don't have anything to worry about. If your youth program is strong and your high school is strong, you're good. Okay, if your high school is not strong, and I'm not talking about high school hockey, I'm talking about the academics, and you feel that you need more, maybe prep is the right way to go, and then you can explore the prep route. But I can't tell anybody right away which is the greatest way to go because the answer is absolutely different from everybody else. When you look at where prep players go, where Minnesota high school players go, and where U18 players go, those are your 3 channels. When you look at where all junior players come from, Minnesota high school hockey, U16, U18 hockey, 15, 16, 18 hockey, the youth path. And we've talked about that youth path. One of the leagues that they mostly get recruited to the higher levels, it's your Tier 1 elites, it's your HPHLs, it's your Beast, it's your AYHL, it's your North American PHL League. All those leagues are the ones that are the driving force on the U16, U18 side. Then you have prep hockey. And prep hockey is extremely strong. It's not a bad product. So there's any one of those 3 areas can be great for you. And where does these academies fit in? Well, they fit in with the U16, U18 model for the most part. And once again, you could go to Colorado and make one of the Colorado teams and go to an academy that's not affiliated with the actual team you're playing for. So the academy doesn't always have to be directly affiliated with a team. And you can still go to one of these hockey academies and play for a different team. I know in Detroit, when my son was playing in the Detroit market, there were 3 or 4 kids on his team that went to one of the academies. And there were 3 or 4 kids when he was playing for Victory Honda. There were 3 or 4 kids from Honey Baked, 3 or 4 kids from Bell Tire, all in the same academy. So you're not directly beholden to one team if you go to one of these academies. So hope that helps a little bit on that question there. Is there a central site to compare academies? I already tried to answer that one. I don't think so. Checking in. Son played in Des Moines AAA 15 Academy style dorm on the Lions School through his home, high school in North Carolina. Absolutely, that's one of the models they use. Thanks for bringing that up on there. And are there any academies rated for academics? So once again, yes, there is ways to find out the rating on the academics. However, you have to find out the name of the academic institution they're using for online. So sans the elite academies like the East Coast Selects, where they're actually using a prep school there, the schools that are doing online academies, there is a whole level of different companies and different bells and whistles and different levels of academic excellence. They're all accredited, for the most part. I don't know of anybody that's using a non-accredited program out there. It wouldn't make any sense. How do you get hockey players to come if they can't be NCAA accredited classes they're taking and credits they're getting? So, that's the bare minimum, is the NCAA accreditation. Really what you look for on that is, and most, if not all of them now, have that. What you really are looking for is the breadth of choice in the classes you can take. You really don't want to have just core courses offered. You want to have as many liberal arts classes and many different science classes available to your student when you're going to these different academies. So when you do look into these academies, and if you do talk to them, you want to see what your choices are. And it's no different than going to college. It'd be very, very boring if you went to college and you had to take a math, a science, and an English, and then your day was done. You want to be able to explore the world, and especially in these academies, because you're doing online classes alone, the more varied the courses and the more exciting and interesting they are for the kids, the better, because it's going to keep them engaged more. So really the accreditation, they're all playing at a minimum. There isn't a ranking system where you can, like high schools are ranked across the board that I know of, but there's tons of information online about these. Once you break into the actual academy you're interested in, the next thing, like the few I looked at today, they actually would go on and you can see exactly where they do their online courses through. And I thought I wrote it down. I'm looking at my notes. I did not write down the names. I thought about it and then I did not do it. But for example, if you go to Total Package, you can read down there exactly where they get their academics done from. So hopefully that helps a little bit on that question there. We've been jumping around on this all night long. I think I've covered most of it. The structure, I think you all understand the structure now. You basically have got a component where small group of adults, some of these academies are running on 1, 2, 3 people that are there all day with the students. Maybe somebody comes in and does some on ice with them. Maybe somebody does some, like the extracurricular activities, shooting rooms, yoga, whatever the case may be. But they come in for an hour or two, but there's 1 or 2 adults that are with them all day long. That's the most part. Don't forget, motivation is the biggest key on this. Finding ways to keep kids engaged across the board and so they don't fall behind. The supervision, we talked about that. Burnout, we talked about that. Accreditation, we talked about that. Team affiliation, we talked about that some are affiliated, some are not. And we talked about the off-ice side too. So, this is not, academies aren't for everybody. They just aren't. They're not for a kid that needs to be pushed, the kid that needs to have, real structure, from 7 o'clock, that he knows that every 40 minutes his class is going to change, that he's going to get a 30-minute lunch. That is not what you're going to find in these academies, these hockey academies. There are a couple up in Canada that are evolving right now in the Toronto market that actually are literally prep schools now. They've actually built an academic staff around a couple of them. DM me, because if you're in Canada and you're interested in the Toronto market, if you don't know about them, I'll throw names out there. But once again, if I'm trying to skirt one thing, getting back to what I think it was Victor earlier was saying, no, it was Jason, what Jason was saying. If I'm skirting one thing, is it's trying not to lean towards endorsing anybody, because I've had great results with, using players from, 10 or 15 different academies in the last 10 years. And I know a lot of the people that are involved with these. So I don't want to either diss or, give props to some place that leans people one way or another. That's not my job. My job was to open up the eyes and any questions that are out there that may be on this. So unless that, I'm going to table the WHL one, because I'm not prepared to talk about the WHL. The Western Hockey League, the OHL, and the Quebec League, that major junior market is not my area of expertise. I know enough about it to get myself in trouble when I start trying to talk about it. I'm very, very versed in those areas. I know a lot of the people in those markets as far as coaches and general managers, but I do you a disservice if I try to tell you what my opinion was on the draft, especially because that's a young player draft. That draft's a year before everybody else drafts players. So I hope that helps a little bit. Thank you for everybody that stuck with us. I'm surprised we kept an audience as long as we did. Tough subject tonight. Any other questions, throw them on there. Let's see what we got here. My son was playing junior A for the last 2 years and was on track for double A. With COVID, we decided to sit this year. Do you believe high school hockey is no longer a viable path? Once again, I think that, first of all, being in Arizona, it's tough to talk about high school hockey the same way. High school hockey, what you're seeing as high school hockey there, would be what's called club level high school hockey on the East Coast. In Minnesota, it would not even be considered hockey. It'd be a club sport. What Arizona's playing right now. So I would say that you're in a very, very weak high school market compared to, if the gold standard's Minnesota, and there's pockets in Boston, pockets in Michigan, and pockets in Wisconsin that have pretty good high school hockey. Not the whole states, but pockets in those states. I would say that high school is a very, very tough way to go if you're looking to move on and progress, that you really have to get into some other club level hockey, U16, U18 hockey, to 15, 16, 18 to move on and progress out of there. And the biggest thing too is hey, you can move on to ACHA hockey from the AA level. You can play college club hockey at some very, very fantastic programs. And you're in Arizona, go watch Flagstaff, watch Northern Arizona University's club team if you're up north. If you're not, watch University of Arizona's program, their club team. California, the Berkeleys, the San Diego States, they've all got these fantastic club programs now. So, necessarily playing AAA to play club hockey at a very, very good level is not necessarily needed anymore, because there's 500 plus club teams. There's only 62 teams at Division I college hockey, and I don't even know what the number of the D3 teams. I'd have to look the number up. It's between 60 and 80 on the D3 side too. So if there's only just over 100 some odd choices at the D1 and D3 level, the majority of guys are going to be playing college club hockey. And if you go watch these games and see how good the hockey is, you'll probably change your perspective on it a little bit. And dirty little secret, they can recruit differently at the ACHA level. Dirty little secret, a lot of times they have money that the NCAA won't allow to be used at the NCAA Division I and Division III level. Okay, there are times where they can give you breaks on tuition that are amazing at some of these schools. So totally